Thanks for watching the Kig Yar or Jackal Explained. Pirates, snipers, skirmishers, and shield wielders. The Kig Yar are an avian and really a kind of an avian-reptilian hybrid species that seem to resemble bipedal dinosaurs. The question is, where do these evolutionary traits originate from, and how have these affected them as a species? Using my massively expensive piece of paper known as a biology degree, I can piece together the background and their evolutionary path subsequently. Also, make sure to stick around to the end, and we will actually compare a Kig Yar to a Homo sapien in a hand-to-hand fight. Your typical Kig Yar is almost on par concerning the societal tier of the Covenant as the Grunts. This species can actually be seen picking on the Grunts more often than not, despite the fact that they are seen as equals in the Covenant. The savagery of the Kig Yar actually went as far as to poison the Grunts' drugs that they used recreationally to force sterility on them, but that's a topic for another day. Just know that the Kig Yar are actually kind of jerks. The Kig Yar is going to stand anywhere between 6 foot 2 inches to 6 foot 8 inches. For my 3 people watching in Europe, I believe it is, that'll be about 190 to 210 centimeters. Their average weight is going to come in at 195 pounds to 206 pounds, or 88 kilograms to 93 kilograms. So on average, they're going to be taller than a person, but their weight appears to be lacking as the creature of that size should be heavier. And there's actually a reason for this, but we will cover that in a little bit as well. The musculature of the Kig Yar is going to be very sinewy and stringy. This muscle is packed on thinly, much like that of birds of Earth. This has given them an overall slender but tall frame. Their overall features are very dinosauric to say the least. Imagine like if a velociraptor had become the dominant spacefaring species on Earth rather than humans, which had the, I believe it was the asteroid that hit the Yucatan, along with a myriad of other things that were going on concerning the climate at that time. Who knows? The velociraptors actually could have been the dominant species, and mammals would have never actually rose up and done anything. So, just like the raptors, they sport tridactyl clawed hands and feet, which are used for slashing and attacking their prey. The Kig Yar served many roles in the Covenant Army, but typically they were going to be used as snipers. Their eyesight was much keener and much better than that of any other creature embroiled in the battles that were at hand. Being a sniper was also preferred, as they are actually surprisingly weak creatures. Their bones, much like that of the birds of Earth, again, are hollow. This means that a simple punch from a human could leave the creature incapacitated and even outright kill it if they were to hit them in the head. The other form they would take would be a shield-wielding soldier. Now, there was a gladiator culture in the Kig Yar society that existed, I believe it was on the bigger of the continents that exist on their planet, and that's also kind of where they get the shields from, if you didn't know that. But so that they would have these defensive shields in one hand and usually a plasma pistol in the other. So this means that their hand-to-hand offensive capabilities were completely taken away. But I got a question for you. Were all Kig Yar the same? Actually, no. There are 3 known subspecies of Kig Yar. And just a spoiler alert for you guys, I'm going to absolutely brutalize these names, so just be prepared for that. So, the Ruitian would typically have a light brown, tan, or sallow skin tones, with green skin appearing less often. They also sported flexible quills on their head and forearms for the males, and callus plates as for the females. Their heads were elongated and would have bulbous eyes and beak-like snouts. A downward sloping snout was most common, but the straight snout was also seen in battle. The Ibishan came from the volcanic continent of Ibish, I suppose is how you pronounce it, and are going to have the most primitive characteristics concerning their species. This is because they live and die on the planet of their species that they more than likely originated from, so they are going to have the same body structure as their kin before them. Their heads are going to be far more muscular and reptilian in appearance. They have shorter snouts and underbites. These jackals also differ from the more commonly seen variety in having reddish plumage and yellow tinted eyes. These Kig Yar served the Covenant before its disbanding, but also make up the majority of Jul Mdama's Covenant as well. The Tavoan have darker skin and are much stockier with squared head and small yellow eyes. They also have more bird-like features, sporting beak-like mouths and bony facial coverings. Tavoans have true feathers on their heads and arms, unlike the quills of the jackals. They also have sharp talons on their hands and feet. The reason for these differences is really much like what causes differences in humans concerning skin color, eye color, height, build, pretty much everything, is the environmental pressures which has caused their bodies to adapt. The Ruitian, I know I'm butchering that word, adapted to the continent of Root, which was the largest landmass on the planet. This large landmass more than likely meant that the climate would have a greater range of temperatures, which would then indicate that a species that was more or less like less specialized and more a jack of all trades, jackal, anyways, would fare better. This is how we are left with the standard jackal. The Ibashan evolved on a volcanic continent, which made it much more of a dangerous place to live. More than likely, this is either where the species had arrived very, very early in its development, or really where they evolved. And this is why they have much more primitive characteristics, as there was really no reason to evolve past this point. The reason that their characteristics exist as such is because they're highly adapted to the perils that come with living on a highly volcanic continent. So their traits, like I said, did not need to change, so they stayed the way they were, so they did not morph into anything new. The Tavoan evolved on an asteroid, and as such, pushed their biology to its limits. Never before would their genetics have encountered this type of environment, so they pretty much changed the most. They have become stockier, stronger, and are much more muscular than your average Kig Yar. More than likely, this was a trait that came about because of gravity fluctuations putting stress on the body. Humans actually possess this ability right now. Our bodies are able to adapt to spaceflight in both good and bad ways. An astronaut recently spent a year in space, and subsequently the telomeres on his DNA lengthened, which actually is what could increase our lifespan if somehow we are able to artificially add telomeres to our current DNA, because every time your cells divide, a little bit of telomeres get taken away until they actually start dividing into what is useful DNA. But we aren't here to talk about people, we're here to talk about the Kig Yar. Well, except for this last part, which is humans in microgravity, our muscles and bones will wither away, so that would be the bad way in which we adapt to microgravity environments. So just as a little side note concerning the Kig Yar, how would you fare in a fight against them? Well, I've got you covered if you ever wanted that, because honestly, who doesn't want to know if they could smack down an alien or not? With a Kig Yar sporting talons and claws along with tough skin, things aren't really looking that good for your average human. You may get the feeling, playing as Master Chief, that it's easy, but a Kig Yar standing at 6'8", they're going to be much taller than your average person, which means they can also have a much greater reaching, so they can reach you before you even got close to them. They also possess lightning fast reflexes that could eviscerate you before you even got a hit in. The key to hand-to-hand combat with Kig Yar would be much like that of the encounters that humans have with animals on Earth. Protect your neck and guts. Given the chance, a Kig Yar will dart in and tear out your intestines or trachea, pretty much putting you down permanently or sending you into shock and you're not doing anything. But there is some good news. Remember the hollow bones I was talking about earlier? If you had your armor on and weren't caught completely by surprise, you could rely on the metal protecting your organs. Move fast though, because you're probably not going to get a second shot. If you can land a hit, it is very possible that you would shatter the bones of a Kig Yar. A hit to the leg will disable that leg, same with the arms, and really a hard enough hit center mass. This would pit your solid human bones against the splintering hollow bones of the Kig Yar. You are much more likely to come out on top if you can get that first hit in. Also be aware that if you do manage to hit it in the head, once again, the bones are hollow, and that is where the brain is located on the Kig Yar, much like all the other species, and a headshot pretty much kills anything outright, usually. A fight between a human and a Kig Yar would be a quick encounter with one or the other dead. So really, what wins out? Speed and sharpness or blunt and heavy? That would be a pretty interesting matchup. I think the most interesting part about it would be that the differences in humans. Right now, you have humans of all sizes, shapes, whatever, but you could have somebody who's 5'8", 200 pounds that works out a lot. They hit them, it's over, but if you've got somebody who's 130 pounds, 6 foot, it might be a little bit of a tougher fight. But anyways, alright guys, that's all your boy has time for today. If you like the video going over the Kig Yar, then don't forget to smash that sub button. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 500 here eventually, and who knows, maybe the next 500 will come easily. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch y'all in the next one.